Everyone. My name is Hector, and I want you all to introduce Miro, who's going to be our speaker for this talk. So, Miro, how are you doing today?
Hi, Hector. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with you at PyCascades.
Great. Actually, this is the first time I attend a PyCascades, and I'm really happy because your talk seems very interesting, and I believe everyone has been struggling with names in a way, and so actually your name could be read different in some places. So can you tell us how we pronounce your name?
Okay, my name is pronounced Miroslav Šedivý. And Šedivý is like a normal Czech or Slovak last name that means gray-haired, you see, gray-haired.
Okay, that's great to know because it's something that probably many people we have faced it in a time. So it's great to know that. And currently, right now, where are you based right now? Because you know, PyCascades is all over the world.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm like 9 hours ahead of the region of PyCascades, so it's already dark after sunset here in Central Europe. And I have already seen that there are quite many people all around the world, and I'm happy to see that with online conferences, such things are possible.
Yeah, it's one of the good few things that we are living right now. That online conferences we can attend them no matter where are they held. So I'm also glad and happy of that, and the fact we are speaking through the internet and having people all around the world. So we're almost ready to begin our talk, and I want to remember all of you, our attendings, that Miro will be in the chat answering your questions. But after that, we can keep discussing in our dedicated room for that. So I don't know, Miro, you have a few words before we begin?
Unfortunately, I am like staying here alone in this room, so I don't see other people. But I would like then to hear people in the discussions or asking or giving me their opinions or even their experiences with what problems they have had using their name. And on the other hand, as developers, what problems they have encountered and in their applications when dealing with the names of their users. So I would like actually to hear their experience, and I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. So it's something that we have to take in count. Now, so we're ready to begin with the talk, and at any time we will begin to watching. So remember to stay tuned to the talk and this track because there will be awesome presentations.
Hi everyone, my name is Miroslav Šedivý. No, Šedivý. No, that's still wrong. No. Maybe if you just try to plug the cable the other way around. No, that's still wrong. No. Right. So my name is Miroslav Šedivý, and sometimes I hear that my name is Invalid. Šedivý is just a very normal name from Czechoslovakia, which means someone who is gray-haired. This is how you pronounce it correctly, and it is easy to type if you use compose key. Today we are going to speak about names in Python, so how to work with strings and bytes, encoding, normalizing, case folding, sorting, regular expressions, and how to work with names on the web. So the form of names, what to expect, how to validate the names that our users are going to send us or type in the forms. Strings and bytes in Python. In Python 3, that's easy. There are two types of strings, of something that looks like a string. The first one is a real string that is Unicode, so that each character is one of over 1 million code points. This is something that is in your working memory, that you are working with in your program. And bytes, which have only 8 bits, so they have only 256 different possibilities. But this is how you store the data or your text, your strings on a file, on your data system, or sent over network. And the question is how we are going to convert between strings and bytes. So if your last name or your name is Chuck Norris, then it's easy. You don't encode the string encodes itself. From the string, you just encode, you get the bytes, and the other way around, from bytes, you decode and you get the string. You see that the bytes, they have a small prefix of B. Without prefix, that's a standard string in Python 3. The 12 characters in the Unicode string will be converted to 12 bytes, because actually the name consists only of ASCII characters, so that's easy. And this is how it works for most names in the USA. But hey, there is a huge world beyond the USA, and they are not using English. So for example, in Germany, very popular last name is Müller. And Müller, if these 6 letters want to be encoded in the standard encoding that is used in Python 3, that is UTF-8, you will get 7 bytes, because the U with umlaut or with diaresis has to be encoded in 2 bytes. If you have some Chinese name, okay, this is not a Chinese name, this is a Chinese text, ni hao, so hello. The two Chinese characters need 6 bytes to be encoded in UTF-8. So, but there are other encodings other than UTF-8. So first that I have already mentioned is ASCII. And ASCII knows only up to 127 different combinations, and the name of Chuck Norris works very well with that, because that consists only of such characters. If you are in Germany, in France, in Spain, Italy, and in some other Western European countries, then you cannot use only ASCII, because there are some characters that do not fit into ASCII, so they use Latin 1. Latin 1 offers the whole 256 characters. That is enough for most of these languages. So Müller, 6 characters, need again 6 bytes to be encoded. But as I told you, I come from Czechoslovakia, which is in Central Europe, and my mother tongue is Slovak, my father tongue is Czech. So we have different characters that are used in the Western Europe. So there is Latin 2. That is for languages like Czech, Slovak, Polish, Hungarian, and a few other languages in that area. And we also we can also encode 256 different characters. And for the S with capital, there is one encoding, and for the Y with acute accent, there is also encoding in Latin 2. So I can encode my last name in Latin 2 without problems. But the bytes that are encoded as Latin 2 and the bytes that are encoded as Latin 1, they look almost the same, but you have to know explicitly which encoding you have used, because otherwise you couldn't encode it back. So here in Germany, I sometimes get packages, and sometimes they look like this. So you see that instead of the S with Karen, I have a question mark. And now I tried to decode or to find out why something like that happened. Where did they get the question mark from? Because on the website I typed Šedivý correctly. So in Python, if I think that they use Python and they use Latin 1 because it is in Germany, it's possible that it happened this way, because if I have Šedivý as a string and I encode it in Latin 2, I will get something that works. But if you try to encode my last name using Latin 1 encoding, that doesn't work, because the S with Karen is a character that is not within the Latin 1 character set. So you get an exception. But hey, I receive packages, I don't receive exceptions. So in string encode function, there is a parameter errors that has a default value of erase, so it raises an exception in case if there is a character that cannot be encoded. But you can also tell it, in the case of an error, replace it. And you cannot tell it how to replace it, it just replaces it with a question mark. So that's probably where this comes from. But if you want to play with this function a little bit more, you can even register a special function, for example like this, a small lambda that returns random digit. And in that case, if I try to encode my last name in Latin 1 with the function replace randomly, I will get something that instead of S there is a 5. That looks almost like S, but that's just a random digit, like the function that return it. And then there are other companies, big companies, almost state-owned companies in Germany that just try to send me emails or packages, print the packages, and every time the same company, when they send me a letter, when they send me the customer card, when they send me some online ticket or something like that, they manage it to send it to me always with wrong encoding, but always with a different wrong encoding. And there is some other company that has a big planes, flies around the world, and if I want to buy a ticket and they tell me you can only enter letters in the adult's last name field. Hey, sorry, my last name consists only of letters. What is a letter? In Python 3, what we can do is we can name a variable any way we want. We are not restricted to ASCII. So, for example, I could do something like this: Šedivý equals Šedivý. Šedivý is a legal variable name in Python 3. But I cannot name a variable a question mark or a smiley. So how does Python know what is a letter or what not? There is a standard library module Unicode data, and with this small method I just give it a few letters or characters and then ask for the category and for the name. So the category are these two letters in the second column, so LL, LU, ZS, PO, SO, and that is exactly the category of the character. So LL, for example, it means letter lowercase. LU is letter uppercase. And this way it knows that if there is some character that belongs to the category of a letter, that is a legal part of a variable name. And these are all the categories in Unicode. So remember that if something starts with an L, it is a letter. If it starts with an N, it's a number. So actually you can take something that looks like a number and then convert it to get its numerical value, although it is not a digit between 0 and 9. If you are using something like character map, you can get all the information, the category and so on about each letter. And then there is case folding. Case folding means converting between uppercase and lowercase. So I have here a few characters or letters, and I converted them to uppercase, and then vice versa, I can convert it back to lowercase. That works almost always. But there is an exception, a few exceptions. For example, the sharp S, the German sharp S, which it is not a B, it is a sharp S that is pronounced like S. What you see there is the lowercase version. And then you convert it to uppercase, you will get SS. But the other way around, there is actually, since 3 or 4 years, there is an uppercase sharp S, which if you convert it to lowercase, you will get the lowercase sharp S. Yeah? The uppercase sharp S is a little bit wider. But it doesn't work the other way around. So there are some historical exceptions because the uppercase sharp S is relatively new and it is not used very often. And there is also exception within ASCII. There is actually one ASCII letter that for you, for me, this looks natural, converting between uppercase and lowercase I, but there is one language in Europe and Asia, that is Turkish, that has problems with that. Because in Turkish, they have two I's. They have I, lowercase, uppercase with dot, that is pronounced as E, and I without dot, dotless I, uppercase, lowercase, that is pronounced as U. So these are two different characters. And then imagine that our lowercase I with the dot is converted to uppercase I without dot. That can change totally the meaning of a Turkish word. So Turkish programmers, or if you are working with Turkish text and you want to convert between lowercase uppercase, you cannot do it with standard Python. You have to reach for international components for Unicode and then define a locale and then do a little bit more programming just to convert between uppercase, lowercase i's with dot or without dot. Normalizing is the fact that two letters or two words in Unicode don't have to be the same. For example, here let's take the German word süß, which means sweet. Now the two words, word 1 and word 2, are different. They look the same, but the first one has the length of 3 characters, the second one has 4 characters. In the first version, the second letter is Latin small letter u with diaresis. In the second case, this U has been, or U with two dots, has been split into two characters. The first one is like a small letter U, the standard one, and the second is combining the arises. And what you see is in the second word, this line combining the arises is moved a little bit to the left. This is not an error or typo. This means actually that this character of combining the arises doesn't have a width. So you can take any character and then you can apply the combining the arises, combining Karen, combining other special characters, and you can combine them and add them to the word. And even you can combine characters that do not exist. So for example, the sharp S with two dots, you can create it and it will be shown. This is, for example, how you can write something like this. This is a Stack Overflow answer to the question how to parse HTML with regex. And what you see at the end are just characters with plenty of different combining characters appended to them. Alphabetic sorting in Python is not so easy. Actually, if you just use sorted, you will get something. But if you look at these letters, you see that they just look wrong. So for example, the AOU with some arises are after AOU without the arises. The sharp S is the lowercase is in the middle, the uppercase is at the end. So this is not natural if you want to have some alphabetic list of names of words, phone list or something like that. This is based on the Unicode code points of every character, and this is how you will find them in the Unicode table. But this is not how you will find them in a phone book. You have to use a locale. So for example, if you want to sort the German text, in German the A with the arises is located between A and B. So you will have to set a locale, and then you can sort the words according to this. But in Swedish, they also have A with the arises, but this A with the arises is at the end of alphabet. So if you set the Swedish locale, you will get a different sorting. In Hungarian, they have the sound of ch, and this is written as CS. For example, csípes, which means something like sharp or spicy, very spicy food. And this is located after C, so between C and D. In Czech and Slovak, for example, you have seen my last name starts with an S with Karen. This is a letter between S and T. And we have also something like CH, which is pronounced H, which is between H and I. And also not always. So there are plenty of exceptions. In French, it is even worse. They sort according to ASCII values of the letters. But if there are some accents, they sort them from the end. So first they sort the last syllable, and then they sort the penultimate syllable. So this is how you sort these four words of kot, kote, kote. But the problem with locale is that it's connected to the process. So if you have some code some library that sorts for the users of a web server, sorts the names, the problem is that if you have several users, each one of them needs a different locale, and you change it in one function, it will be changed for the whole process. So if you do something like that, don't do it in your library, and pay really attention if you have a bigger piece of software that works with alphabetical sortings in different languages. But there is again ICU, and ICU allows you to create an object connected to the locale, and that can sort the words alphabetically in any locale without affecting the process. Or there is PyUCA, that is much more lightweight, but the difference is, you see there is no locale here, so it means that PyUCA has just some list of characters, and it sorts. It looks good to English speakers. It breaks something for German, for Swedish, for Hungarian, for French, for Slovak, for Czech, and so on for other speakers, but in general it works. It is acceptable. And there are regular expressions. We have a problem. Let's do it, solve it using regular expressions. Now we have two problems. Let's say we have this word or this text, München 123. München is the German way of Munich, German name of the city of Munich, and we want to extract the name of Munich. So we just extract everything between A and Z, and the U will be ignored because it doesn't belong there alphabetically or in the logic of Python. What you can do, you can use \w, but in this case, it takes all alphanumerical characters. So it will also take the number 1 to 3 that we want to ignore. How can we take just München? You can use third-party library regex that works exactly like the standard libraries RE, but it has also the function or the possibility to select Unicode characters by their category, and that is exactly this \p with L in the curly braces. You have seen this capital L means letters. It is a Unicode category of letter, and with this you can select all letters or all characters that are letters. So I came here for Python and I stayed for the names because that's much more fun. I cannot see you, but who of you can write their first name and last name exactly into these 2 columns? I can do that. But maybe some of you have something like a middle name, or you have some metronymic name, or vice versa, or you are somewhere from Northern Europe and you have the name of your father with son or dotir at the end. Your last name may come before the first name if you are from Hungary or from East Asia, or if you are a queen, pope, king, maybe you have only a number in your name, maybe you have just a name, maybe you have some von und zu, so some special titles, aristocratic titles in any language, and maybe you are a doctor or PhD, you have PhD, and that means that it becomes a part of your name. So you see, if you have a simple form and they ask just for first name and last name, many people just cannot enter it properly. So what I think is we should have a form with 2 fields. One is full name, so actually what is your official name with everything, and then how should we call you. So in my case, full name is Miroslav Šedivý, and you can call me Miro. There are some people who, of course, who have their own interpretation of how they should be called. But unfortunately, there are plenty of online forms of software that ignores that. So, for example, please enter characters from the European character set only. My name is European. Please enter a full valid name. My name is full and my name is valid. So please don't assume anything. Don't put random limit on the length of the name. Characters between 1 and 16 characters or between 5 and 12. Hey, that doesn't work. There are names that are long, and there are names that are even longer. Don't use stop words. If it is a stop word in your language, it can be a perfectly normal name or normal word in another language. And the family members don't have necessarily the same family name. So, for example, all male members of my family are Šedivý, and all female members of my family are Šedivá. And it is also printed on the ID. Different transcriptions from non-Latin alphabet. So if you have some Cyrillic or Chinese alphabet, and in every language the letters can be transcribed a different way, and it works also other way around. I have been to Russia twice with my passport, and I have twice visa, and they printed my last name Šedivý in Cyrillic way twice and twice differently. So it means that they just saw the Czech or Slovak way how to type it, and they tried to do it the Russian or the Cyrillic way, and they found 2 different possibilities how to do it. Then men, they changed their family names too. So for example, if you ask for maiden name or ne, that doesn't work for men. And one letter name is probably not an initial. So for example, Benoit B. Mandelbrot, famous mathematician, the B is actually not an initial, it's just B. So actually you should expect that everything is fine and everything can be found in a name. If you have heard about Mr. Null, my name makes me invisible to computers. If you have problem with that in your code, then please see me after the talk. I have heard about someone who chose the immatriculation name or the car plate null, so he thought that, okay, if they want to send me a speed ticket, they will not find me. But actually then he received all the speed tickets from all the cars that were not identifiable. So everything was mapped to his plate number. And if your name is Robert Drop Table Students, okay, you also have some problem. There are places like names, and that also can be almost anything. So this is, for example, the most popular name of a street in Germany. just joking. Einbahnstraße means one-way street, but many people, foreigners, think that this is the name of a street. And what I have told you at the beginning, the sharp S, it's not a B, so actually Hauptstraße, so the main street, is written with a sharp S, not with a B. What you can, if you Google for Hauptstraße, you will find quite a lot of interpretations of that. There are names of places that are really short, like this one in Scandinavia or in France, O and Y or Y. And if you ask in your form for the place of your birth or so, and you ask at least 6 characters, that will not work. And there are also places that have longer names. So, for example, Hanwalbuk, Bingeko, Grach, Wintrobuch, Quantasilio, Gogogoch, somewhere in Wales, or Chrzączyżewoszice, Powiat Wękowody, somewhere in Poland, or some place somewhere in Iceland that even doesn't have a name. But if you draw a nice map on the postcard, it will arrive. And if you want to read more, just check websites that list all these falsehoods programmers believe about names. There are plenty of them, and then check whether your application works with that. So, is your name invalid? No. Names of people cannot be invalid. Please respect the names of your users. Don't break the locale, so use the ICU module. Convert from bytes to string as soon as possible, and from string to bytes as late as possible, because Python is great in using Unicode. UTF-8 is cool, Python 3 is cool, so be cool too, use Python 3 and UTF-8. And if you tell your user your name is invalid, you will land on the Twitter handle, your name is valid. Actually, Twitter has a limit on the length of account name, so your name is valid is the name of the account. And please be nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miro, for teaching us about the importance of special characters in the names of us all. Because, you know, one of my names has a special character, and it is a real struggle when I fill forms. So I'm glad you brought us this talk, because it's really interesting.
Since I recorded this talk, I have spent a little bit time with Twitter account. Your name is valid. It is not your name is invalid. It is your name is valid, because there is a limit on the length of a login or a username in Twitter. And I thought a little bit for some words in the tweets, and I discovered so many people having so many problems. I invite you to have a look at that Twitter account, and even to submit if you encounter anything. And every day there are plenty of people who have actually similar problems, like you have, like I have, like many people around the world have.
Awesome. I'm already following this account, because this is pretty interesting. So again, thanks a lot for teaching us about it. And I want to invite you all to go in ViniList to the pre-recorded track Q&A room, where you can talk with Miro about this topic and every other talk we have in this track. You can discuss over there. So remember to go there and make friends and talk with everyone. So let's make some new friends, let's talk, and remember that at 11:05 we will have our next talk, that it will be what should you know about Django REST framework with Lacey Williams. So stay tuned and remember to talk with everyone. It is a new reality about conferences, so we have to enjoy it.
Thank you, Hector, and wish everyone a wonderful day at the conference. Thank you.